Welcome to Redesigning Health and Home. I'm Meg.
And I'm Kerri. We love creating beautiful, functional spaces and living healthy, vibrant lives. So join us as we chat about simple, practical ways to take care of your body, mind, and your home. Whether it's fitness tips, home decor ideas, or navigating those big life moments, we're here to share what works for us and what doesn't, with some encouragement along the way.
Let's redesign this life together, one step, one room, and one habit at a time.
Welcome back to Redesigning Health and Home. I'm Kerri, and I'm here with my good friend, Meg. And how are things in your neck of the woods, Meg?
They're going really well, Kerri. Hi. I am kind of having a good time because I attempted that viral Kardashian salad from La Scala. Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't. What's that about?
Well, I think it's the restaurant probably obviously takes all the credit, but I think the Kardashians may have talked about it on their show if you're into that at all. So it then became a viral sensation. So my friend, I've been searching the videos of how people make it. Super simple. The idea is it's a Italian sub sandwich, but in salad form. So yeah, you take chickpeas and really crispy, dry iceberg, chop up a bunch of salami, mozzarella, red onion, and just like if you were going to a sub shop, you know, that red wine, olive oil dressing, but you make it, you put a little Parmesan in there, Dijon, salt and pepper, super, super yummy. So I tested it out because we're having some guests come and I wanted to have some pre-made items ready to go.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure how that would taste, even though it's very popular.
Right.
And it was very tasty. It was very tasty. So I might make that. And then also, I've been super inspired because you just had a conversation with Laurel, the life coach. And also, we had the interview with Whitney, and they both had such drops of gems about organizing that I just really am inspired because Laurel talked about having peace as a life coach in your home that will bring peace to your mind and your body. And I can see how that would ring true because I'm looking around and everywhere I look, even after that salad, I turn around and my kitchen's a wreck. So I'm truly inspired. I'm truly inspired to get organized. How about you?
Well, I can relate to the kitchen explosion because my husband asked me if it's a requirement that every recipe that I make required that I use every pot and pan in the house. So same thing, spices everywhere and just dishes. Yeah, it's crazy. I do not have a good handle on that whole thing. So I don't know. It's what it is.
It is what it is. I mean, I have heard so many great tips of Rachel Ray. I don't know if people know she's that celebrity chef. She always talked about her garbage bowl. So when she's cooking, she has a bowl. She puts all her, onion peels, but mine are just everywhere. So I'm truly inspired. Laurel helped me. It was a really nice conversation that we're almost going to get to listen to. I hope all of our listeners enjoy it. And then the Whitney episode, I just keep kind of going back to some of her, we're all human. We all have our strengths and just need to embrace it. And then there's always a chance to work on the things that you're struggling with.
Yeah, for sure. And she, Whitney referred to when she was having a guest over 5 minutes before, she's using the blower on the on the patio real quick. And so, yeah, I mean, life still happens. And I hear you. I find some parts of cleaning much easier than others. And I'm not crazy organized in our closet. So Pete's looks the same every day. But mine it ebbs and flows. Let's say that. But I feel like I need to reset it like 4 times a year, where I have to go in and reorganize everything and get rid of stuff. And because I'll try something on, I'll be like, no, that's not right. And shove it back in, and now my nice piles are no longer nice anymore. And so, yeah, that's not one of my strong suits right there, but that's okay.
That is okay. I don't know why it is too, because I do, even in the moment, if I'm a shover too, I'll say, wait, don't do that because then you're going to have more of a mess next time. But I always feel I need to get to the next thing or I'm rushed or I'm always hustling and I just need to kind of take a breath and slow down and take those few seconds to reset it, redesign, as we've been encouraging all of our listeners to do. So I'm hoping that they enjoyed this new episode with your interview with Laurel.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a really good chat with Laurel. I felt she's just a real calm spirit, and she, went through her own struggles, but I just kind of love so many of her perspectives about life. I felt like we aligned quite closely in that way. So I hope that our audience enjoys the interview.
Well, without further ado, let's hear the interview between Kerri and Laurel.
Welcome to Redesigning Health and Home. I'm Kerri, and today we're thrilled to welcome a guest who knows how to turn chaos into clarity and burnout into brilliance. Laurel Goulden James is a life and business coach, consultant, and facilitator with a gift for helping others connect deeply to themselves so they can better connect with others in authentic, efficient, and powerful ways. Laurel creates room for your biggest dreams to land and grow. With humor, heart, and a dash of alchemy, she helps individuals and teams tune into their intuition, rediscover their mojo, and scale their lives into businesses without the burnout, hustle, or guilt. She's a master of mindset shifts and genius with goal mapping, and someone who truly sees your potential sometimes before you even see it yourself. Whether you're craving clarity, confidence, or a fresh perspective, Laurel brings the tools and the energy to help you take your next best step. So take a breath, settle in, and get ready to be inspired. Laurel, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much. I'm just going to take a breath.
Yes, right? We all need to take a deep breath because I'm very excited for this conversation with you. Is there anything that I missed that you would like to tell our listeners about yourself today?
You know what? That was a pretty great synopsis.
Excellent.
I maybe would add that I do believe that every body tells a story. And as an osteopathic massage therapist since 1998, I'm aging myself, but 27 years.
Wow.
I can certainly attest to the fact that, when we connect to our bodies and we connect to ourselves, that's where magic can happen. And so that is one of the things that I really help people do is connect to themselves and really give themselves some space and grace. Yeah.
So on that point then, how do you encourage people to maybe tune in, really listen to the story that their body is trying to tell us? Can you give us some examples of what you might say to a client?
Totally. I can. So people come in, get on the table and they're like, oh, or they come in with, and they get on the table and they take a breath. And then we talk about where their pain is. And they say like, I don't know what I've done wrong. I haven't done anything different, blah, 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 blah. So we just kind of get quiet. So we get quiet and I say, okay, so if your body had a voice, if that shoulder blade was trying to tell you something, what does it want to say? The first answer normally is, I don't know. And I say, I know you don't know, but if you did know, because you do,
right?
What would it say? Right. And then we kind of break it down from there. And I found that when you have space and you give your body that quiet time, we're really great at making to-do lists and saying, I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this. And we're really not as great at sitting in the stillness.
That's so true.
Taking a breath and just sitting in it. And I am a very positive person. Totally. I love to see the bright side of things. I'm a great cheerleader, but I am not a Pollyanna in that stuff happens, right? Crappy stuff happens. And I never ever say things happen for a reason, because that is one of those toxic positivity statements that people say that can be very harmful.
I agree.
And sometimes things just happen because things happen, right? However, we can always get something out of the thing that happened.
Yes.
So changing your perspective and tuning into the body is just so important. Anytime I come on a Zoom with someone, I say, okay, let's just take a breath, ground down, make some face contact, match your hand against my hand so that we have some connection energy to ourselves and to the person that we're talking with. And sometimes a challenge for me, because I always want to know if I'm picking my nose or I got lipstick on my teeth or something, not to like look at myself, but to actually look at the person you're talking to.
Well, you made me think of two things in that information you just provided. First of all, I wish all of our listeners could see you because you do just radiate this sense of calm and connection and joy on your face that I wish people could actually see you. We will include a beautiful photo of you so people can see your face and provide ways that they can connect with you. It also made me think of another toxic, I believe, a bit of a toxic phrase is God doesn't give you more than you can handle. I just do not subscribe to that at all. I mean, I am a very blessed person, and I know some absolutely amazing people who have just been given so much heartache and illness and hardship. And so I think it's really important to point out what you said is sometimes crappy things just happen to good people, and there's not always a reason for it. You didn't deserve it. It wasn't like your shoulders were strong enough to bear the weight, or sometimes just difficult things happen.
And sometimes the best thing to say is, I don't know what to say. I just want you to know I'm here, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't try and make it better. Don't try and justify it. Don't try and explain it away. Sit in it with someone.
Yeah, I like that. In our prior conversation before the podcast, you had mentioned that you kind of had a life-altering year that sort of led to a new normal. So you are actually an osteopathic massage therapist. Can you tell us a little bit about how that year changed your direction a little bit and where that's brought you to now?
Yeah, for sure. So I was what I would consider a weekend warrior. I was an athlete. I taught fitness classes. I did half marathons. I did sprint triathlons, and I ran a very busy clinic. It was not uncommon for me to do 10 very deep tissue massages in a day, several days a week, very involved with my community, started to get some bone pain, which started to kind of hinder what I was doing physically. Tried to get some answers. I think I went to 13 different specialists. Was finally diagnosed in February of 2018 with a rare bone disorder, which manifested as a Hoglin's deformity on my heel, which if you looked at my heel, I had kind of half of a ping pong ball stuck to the back of my heel that was bone, and some of my other bone had deteriorated. So I had bone growth in some places and bone deterioration, kind of like an osteopenia in others. I had some sharp bone growth, which sheared away my Achilles. So I was diagnosed and had my surgery 12 days later because they were actually worried that I was going to lose my foot, like my tibia was going to shatter and I was going to lose part of my lower leg. When I went into my first surgery, we didn't know if I would have to have a rod instead of like a prosthetic instead of my tibia, which I had the best possible outcome. They were able to save the bone. They chunked away some bone from my heel. I call it my superhero woman Achilles. I have a completely synthetic Achilles, and then 6 months of recovery. So 3 of those months were non-weight bearing. Bed rest, which for someone who was very active and a doer like me and who is used to looking after other people and not receiving help, that was really, really tough, not just physically, but mentally. On my mental health, I probably rehabbed a little bit aggressively, and about 8 months down the road, still wasn't really fully recovered. And so Dr. Ames, he was amazing. My orthopedic doctor surgeon said, well, we've got more to do. So we went back in just after Christmas in January of 2019. They had to basically stabilize and repair the peroneal muscle and tendon, which is on the side of your bottom leg, and all of the lateral ligaments and a lot of the tendons in the ankle. And that was a longer recovery than the bone one, and was, I would say, probably tougher on me. I had never taken any serious pain medication before my first surgery. Went off my pain medication too soon with my first surgery, so was made to promise that I wouldn't go off it too soon with my second one. But I had some side effects that were not great, and part of that was some mental health, depression, and some really dark thoughts. And I needed a way to occupy myself. I did not have the concentration to read a book. I hardly had the concentration to read a magazine article. Like I could read a page, and I just anyways, I have always been a personal development kind of person. And I thought I should get into this more. And I ended up talking to a girlfriend who was down in Texas, and She said, I'm going to take this course. And so it was a course called Body Mind Method Coaching. And it was led by someone who was a massage therapist. So I watched her webinar. I bawled and I went, my goodness, this is what I'm meant to do. Because you find a massage therapist and technically they can be very good, which I am very confident that I am very good. But there has to be that connection personally as well. You have to feel like the person that you're going to really cares about you. I tell people the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? I'm a pretty straight shooter. And I do fire people if I say, we need to work on this together and this is your part to do and this is my part to do. And you don't do your part. Then after a few sessions, if you haven't done your part, then I say someone else is better suited for you. I would invite you to find someone else because coming to see me is not a passive transaction,
and you're
right?
Probably doing both of you a favor at that.
Absolutely,
point.
right? Yeah. So I got into this coaching. Now that was January of 2020. March of 2020, my practicum was starting and the world shut down.
Yes, it did.
So I had all of these plans to have all of these people into my office to do coaching and massage, and it was going to be fantastic. And then we couldn't touch anybody or see anybody or talk to anybody.
Gosh, which for somebody in massage, that's a tough road for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So it also taught me a great lesson. So, when crappy things happen, it taught me that I actually can connect to people with my words only and through Zoom or a phone call. Yep. Or a FaceTime, right? And, in Manitoba, I'm in Alberta now, but I was in Manitoba at the time, which is a middle province in the middle of the country of Canada. We actually were deemed essential healthcare workers. So the big lesson in that for me, Kerri, was I got to see people and touch people who had not seen or touched anyone for weeks. They had been isolating. And so they would come to my clinic and I actually had someone start to cry on the table because I was the first person that had touched them. So that human connection is just so important. And yes, absolutely, we can do it through Zoom but there is something to be said for that hands-on exchange or that in the room energy, right?
Sure. For sure. And I remember during COVID listening to the heartbreaking stories about senior citizens in the seniors' homes and their family not being able to come and visit them, and just how difficult that was for them, for their psyche and just emotionally, and just to not have those people come and, like you say, take their arm or give them a hug or something. So
right.
I totally understand that. Well, I really appreciate you sharing that story with us. It reminds me of so many people I know, both of my daughters included, whose identity gets quite wrapped up, I don't know a better word, with what you do. If you're a dancer, if you're an athlete, for my one youngest daughter, she is a horse rider. And when that goes away and now you're just you, it can be really difficult to figure out, well, who am I now that I don't have all my athletics and that sort of thing, like you were mentioning. And I know that many of our listeners are in midlife and are probably at that phase of what you call the now me, now what, right? So often the kids have moved away and we have that empty nester thing going on. So what did you do to kind of navigate that now what, those moments when you were in that? And I'm not sure how long ago your children flew the nest, but how did you navigate that?
Yeah. So I have 4 daughters, 2 by blood and 2 by marriage. The oldest is 30. The youngest is 23.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's been a few years now that all of our kids have launched. Now, I say launched. I'm a mom, so we're always supportive.
Of course.
Right? But for sure, I just really always wanted my girls to be self-sufficient, critical thinking, confident young women who got to do what they chose to do and choose a partner that they want to be with, not that they're dependent on so I feel like that was my job. And my girls are awesome. They're all beautiful young women, all in different areas of their lives. And yeah, there definitely is that kind of now me, now what. So for me, perimenopause happened, the surgery happened, I had kids going off that were already in university or college, grandkids happening. It was a soup bowl of stuff, right? And so one of the things that I did was I got control of my hormone issue, which included me making a repeat visit to my doctor, because my doctor, a lovely man, poo-pooed my symptoms like, oh dear, everybody has hot flashes and it's just something you go through and it'll get better. And I actually left my appointment. I went to a drugstore and took my blood pressure, which is normally very low, and it was like mid-normal, which is high for me. And I knew that I was having what some people may think are crazy thoughts in my head. I knew that I loved my husband. I had a practice husband. So this guy is the one. I've been with him a long time. He's the right one. I want to grow old with him. And yet I wanted to kill him. And I don't just mean in the general sense. I mean, I knew the knife, the rib, the carpet, the ditch. So I went back to my doctor and I said, okay, I'm having 13 hot flashes in a night, so I'm not sleeping. And I love my husband, but I would like to harm him. And I know that I don't actually want to, but I need some help here. Sure. Okay, so maybe we should look at some hormone replacement. I said, yes, I think maybe we should. And so I got my hormones sorted out. So that was kind of now I'm going to sort out my health a little bit. I would say another thing that kind of has come up is, as we reach midlife, it's a really great idea to kind of reflect and review on our values. Because they change, right? They change as we age. And I have found I do have a hard line for some things, but my life is much more gray. I think as we get older and as we experience life, we realize that what is true for us may not be true for someone else, and what works for us may not work for someone else. And one of the things I talk to my clients about is 4 + 4 = 8, but so does 6 + 2 and 7 + 1.
Yes.
So there is not just one right way to get somewhere, but there are several right ways. And I am a recovering perfectionist. So one of the things that I kind of gave up was perfection, which anyone who is a perfectionist knows it's exhausting. Yeah. It's exhausting.
Yes. Trying to hold that control, right?
And that's it. It's control of things that we have no control over.
Sure.
And also, there is no perfect.
Right.
There really is no perfect. So there's often procrastination to make sure it's perfect.
Yes.
Right? There's avoidance of the actual topic because it can't be perfect.
For sure.
But when you give that up, it just opens up so much more joy.
Yes.
And acceptance and just a sense of that was really good. It wasn't the way I would have it happen, but it still was really good.
Yes. Yeah.
And actually taking that in and allowing that to fill your cup.
Yes.
Versus the perfectionist to-do list of, I have to do this and this and this and this and this in order for it to be perfect. And if it doesn't happen exactly this way, it's not perfect. So I can't actually put it in my cup.
Right. Yes. We just hosted a party for our daughter. And I run a little on the perfectionist side as well. And yet some of the most surprising and joyful moments of the party were things that I did not plan, that just happened. And I remember speaking to Meg before the party and saying, preparing for the party, when things happen that you don't expect or outside of your control, what I try to do is step back and say to myself, what is the point? What is the point? What is the point? The point is that everybody has a great time in the celebration together. It's always, always, always about the people. It's not about the color of the cupcakes or that some part of the party that I planned didn't work out just right. And so I absolutely hear you about the control and the perfectionism part. And once you can let that go, and my husband has very much helped me with that because he's just always like, it's great. It's great. We're having a good time. It's great. And so the more that I was able to embrace that, I think the easier it became just to enjoy this is great. There's leaves all over the patio. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. And here's one of the great things is that when we can give up that perfectionism just a little bit, we can all still strive for greatness.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure.
But when we give up that perfectionism, that actually allows us to be more present because we're not worried about, wait a minute, the toothpicks weren't quite square on the table. I need to go move those. Right? You get to, oh my goodness, look at our adult kids are having so much fun together. Let me just soak that in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Because they don't care if the toothpicks are square.
No, nobody even knew there were toothpicks.
Right? Yes. Yeah,
Yes,
totally.
exactly. I completely hear you. So I was perusing your website, which is a wonderful website, and we will include that information on the show notes so people can check it out. But you refer to the neuroscience of gut brain and heart brain, and that piqued my interest because I would really love to hear more about that.
Okay, so did you know that we have far more neurons that go up from our gut to our brain than from our brain to our gut?
Interesting.
So when someone says, I had a gut feeling, absolutely trust that feeling. Those spidey senses are there for a reason. Our body inherently knows things before our brain does. We can take that back to our primal days, right? That fear, freeze, flight, your body goes into that. So our job is to listen to that, to stimulate the vagus nerve, which is that big nerve that runs all the way up and down from, the base of the brain down through our system, and to just calm down and listen. And that can give our brain a better chance. It's like when you say, just step back and take a moment to make those different choices of what the story is that we're going to tell, because everything is a story, right? There's stories that we've learned. There's stories that we inherit. There's stories that have been behind us. There's stories that we have put in front of us, but they're all just stories. And the magic is that you can change the story. The wonderful thing about science, I love science.
Yes.
A bit of an anatomy geek, and is that now we are finding more and more that there's more research and more science behind the neuroplasticity of our brain and the relationship between our gut, our heart, and our brain, right? Yeah. So when you can tie all of that together, that just can allow you to align so much better. One of the things I learned from Laura Wick, who was my body mind method teacher, she said to me once, Laurel, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And I thought, what the bleep does that mean? I'm like a doer. I do it. I go away. But when you slow down and you align, everything falls into place.
Right. Instead of trying to force it. Right.
And the little bumps that come along the way are little bumps instead of big roadblocks, right? So yeah, it is fascinating to me how much we can do to help ourselves and our mindset. And it isn't just a be happy, no bad vibes.
Right.
It's
right.
Where am I right now? And where do I want to be? And let's reverse engineer that. And what are some of the positive things, or what are some of the stories that I can change for myself? One of the things is I ask people when they say something that's a negative thing, I ask, is that true? Because lots of times it's actually not true.
Right.
So is it true? Is it helpful? So whether it's true or not, okay, so it's true. Yes, it is true, but is it helpful? Okay, it's not helpful. So how can we change our perspective, change the story, change our viewpoint, change what that truth is to make it more helpful?
Right.
And if you ask, is it true? And it's not true, then, okay, there's your answer. You write the opposite down. That's it, right? New belief. Hard to follow through.
My husband has a third one that he adds to that. Is it true? Is it helpful? And is it kind?
Yes.
And to run it through that filter to see if the thoughts that you're having are helping you. Because we can say things that are true and helpful to ourselves, but if we say them in a way that's not kind, right? Can we flip it and now make that into a more kind statement?
I would say that is something else that kind of came up for me with when you asked the now me, now what thing is. I'm a lot kinder to myself than I used to be. Yeah. And I really, really encourage everyone to think about, because you hear yourself more than anyone else. I really encourage people
all day long.
Yes, all the time, around the clock. Absolutely. I really encourage people, talk to yourself like you would your best friend. Would you say that mean girl thing to your best friend? Absolutely not. So why are you saying it to yourself?
Right. Yeah, that's so important. That's so important. So you work with a lot of women kind of in, I assume, my sort of age group. What sort of myths or barriers do women face when they're in this stage of life that you kind of have to push through to get them to the point of listening to themselves and being kind and helpful? And what kind of barriers do we bring forward in this stage of life? Are there any common ones? I know everybody's different, but.
Yeah. Everybody's different. We all just want to feel worthy. At the end of the day, we all just want to feel worthy. And so my job, I feel part of my job as your coach is to make sure that you know you are worthy just because you are, not because of anything you've done or anything you haven't done, but just because of who you are. And we can love without rescuing. So most women that I work with are, for the most part, already very successful in their careers, very successful in their parenting, very successful in either having a great marriage or leaving a marriage that was not great and starting over, or being on their own. One of the things that often people come in with is, well, I have to look after this, this, and this, and this, and this before I look after me. So classic line of most people, and I actually don't say this to people, but you hear it often, is, remember, put on your own oxygen mask before you help someone else, right?
That's exactly what I thought when you said that.
Right? Yes. And here's the thing, is that if you were rescued and you didn't have to have the trials and tribulations and the experiences and the failures that you had, you would not be where you are. So how is it that we have come into a generation of moms who are trying to save our babies from ever having any failure or any mistakes or any disappointments, right? That does not empower them to be able to handle that stuff. And so we're finding, some of the research is showing that later in life, our kids are having more trouble as opposed to earlier in life, because they haven't had to deal with some of the disappointments and the hurdles successfully on their own.
Sure.
Right. So one of the things is me trying to encourage. And here's the thing, as a coach, I don't have the answers, you have them. I just ask really good questions, because when do you learn the most? Do you learn the most when someone tells you something, or when you discover it yourself?
For sure, when you discover it
Right?
yourself. Yeah.
So some of the questions that I ask, I hope to prompt people to discover that it is really important that they take care of themselves first. And one of the things that I notice is, I'll say, okay, so what's on your list of things to do, or what do you want to achieve? Well, I wanted to do it. And they have a huge list. And I'm like, where are you? Where are you on that list? And here's a really important question I want to ask you. Have you rested enough to do your best work? Or have you got the story in your head that you have to do all of these things, and once all of those things are done, then you can rest?
Right. Right. Or once I accomplish all these things, then I can be happy.
Yes. And so many people, once they accomplish all those things, it's like a moving goalpost. They don't actually acknowledge that they accomplished all those things. And they may not even take the rest. They just move the goalposts and make more things to do. Yeah. It's like an ever evolving thing. Well, our bodies are not meant to do that. You look at nature, you look at plants. Over winter, the leaves fall off the trees go dormant, they rest.
Yeah.
And then in the spring, they have these beautiful buds and the green leaves that open up and the flowers come out. And so why do we think we need to constantly go and turn the treadmill up higher and higher and higher?
Right.
We know now through science that the best way to train is through interval training, right? Of high peaks and then rest times, high peaks and then rest times.
Right.
So why do we think as women that we have to keep just plugging along without ever taking a rest? So that's probably one of the biggest things, is allowing space and permission for yourself to rest.
I love that. To rest. And I was mentioning this to our youngest daughter, because I think she's a little bit on that moving the goalpost. And when you're in that rest, also just taking a moment to see where you were and where you are now, and that you've made that progress, and to have a little moment of celebration and a pat in the back, to really recognize, like, wow, I did that, and take the time to see that, instead of just, like you say, the hustle of, oh, well, now I have to go and do the next thing and the next thing. And that's doesn't sound like a way to celebrate life.
Right. And I think, culturally, my mom classically just said, well, I was always taught to be very humble. And yes, absolutely, humble is great, but we also have to acknowledge the gifts we have.
Sure.
Right. And so that is one of the other things. That is one of my superpowers, is that I get to have a conversation with you and I can see what your superpower is. And sometimes you don't see it. So just getting you to acknowledge that you have one, and everyone has at least one. Mm-hmm. Most people have many. And acknowledging that you have it, and then using that superpower to help you to expand, right? Where you want to go. Yeah, that's a huge one for people. I have a gal who is an absolute magician at matching people together with the right, this person needs this and this person sells this. She's amazing at putting the right people together who I would say 99% of the time, both the person who needed the thing and the person who's selling the thing call her back and say, oh, thank you for that connection. That was so amazing. And she just thinks that everybody does that. I say, no, not everybody does that. That's a superpower. You are a connector of people. And so to be able for her to see that and go, okay, that can grow my business because I have this and this and this skill that is a superpower that not everybody else has. So I fill a very much needed hole. That's what I say to people. And I do a little intro is, if you know someone that has a Laurel sized hole in their life, let me know. I'd love to fill that.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So superpowers, rest, and that small movements, small actions, way more important than the big stuff. Absolutely. Sometimes we have to take a big leap, but those small repeatable actions and celebrating that you've done it and recognizing that you've done it and building on that, that gets you far further than doing a big thing.
So it's interesting that that's where you landed right there, because my next question was around habit stacking, because I read about that on your website as well, mindset work and habit stacking. And we talk to our daughters about that all the time, how even like a little win just can start a momentum. So I love the way that you put that. So can you tell us a little bit more about what that looks like in real life, the habit stacking?
Simplest way I can explain. You brush your teeth every day. You don't even think about it, right? Every morning you brush your teeth.
Yeah.
What do you do right after you brush your teeth?
Good question.
Okay, so you pick something that you want to do. So maybe it's an affirmation you want to say, or maybe it's every day after I brush my teeth, I'm going to make my bed. Because I have trouble with my room being a mess. And if my room is a mess, my brain's a mess. And so, right? So I'm going to make my bed. So every day as you're brushing your teeth, you go, oh yeah, I brush my teeth and then I make my bed. Because you brush your teeth every day.
Sure.
Right?
Right. And that's, without even thinking about it.
Yes. So you just habit stack something else on top of that. And once you do that, then you find another habit that you do every day. Right? And you do it and you build it and you build it.
Right.
And pretty soon you brush your teeth and make your bed every day without even thinking about it. Just like you used to brush your teeth every day without thinking about it.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably the simplest example. There's lots, but yeah.
Right, for sure. I think another thing I was reading about was talking about decluttering inside and out.
Sure, you would love to have an opinion on this too.
I would love to hear more.
But I just really have found for my life, and it seems to work with a lot of people. And what I always tell people when I make a consulting suggestion or a facilitation suggestion, other than a coaching question, is take what works and leave the rest. If you love to be surrounded by your books piled up by your bed, and that makes you feel comfortable and safe, leave the books by your bed. But if you feel like you want to have a clear mind and you want to, clear everything out, then 3 books. Stack 3 books. I think I need to actually look at my bedroom because I am one of those people that loves books, and I think I have 7.
Well, maybe that's your
2 on the floor. No, I think 2 on the floor, 3 on I think 5. But having said that, you can see my space here in my room is very clear, and I have a bookshelf that's full of my books, and everything else kind of goes in my filing cabinet, which I like to say compartmentalize, sometimes. So just like in life, where if you go into a room and it feels cluttered, that can cause you stress without you even really realizing it. I'm running a couple of group programs right now, and it's a reset. And one of last week's modules was on decluttering our brain. So looking at all the stories and cleaning those up a little bit, and also decluttering our space. So I actually had one gal who had a girlfriend come in to her spare room / office, and they did the keep this, organize this, donate this, sell this, and trash that.
Yeah.
They did it in a day. And she said, now I walk into that room and I'm so excited to go in there, and I sit down and my beautiful desk is clear. And I started to write, and she writes books, and she's like, I actually got ideas on the page because I wasn't distracted by all the things in the room.
Sure.
So, I mean, that obviously works for her.
Yeah.
We don't need a lot of things. And I think a lot of us, as we get older, we spend half of our life kind of accumulating things and the next half kind of siphoning through them. I find for me, I don't want more things. I just want more experiences, right? More adventures. And sometimes you need some things to do the adventure. But for the most part, I'm very happy with not a lot of things. Now, there are some people, there's different sacred money archetypes, and there are some people who love beautiful things.
Sure.
So if you love beautiful things, then make sure you have enough space to show off that beautiful thing and you admire that thing and it's not cluttered by other things around it.
Right.
And I think probably you can speak to that a little bit about picking some of your favorite things and showcasing them.
Yeah. And it's interesting because my daughter Jessica and my husband Peter have this rule that if they buy a new shirt, for example, they have to get rid of a shirt. I do not have that rule when it comes to clothes. I probably should adopt it. But for them, it is more about the energy that it takes to manage all of these things.
Right.
Because it does take physical and mental energy to manage all of our stuff. Right. And do we really want to invest that much energy into managing things? Or, like you say, do you want to declutter that and make space for yourself to be creative, or take that breath and when you come into the room and notice the few beautiful things that you have versus, chaos? Because for sure, in chaos, nothing really stands out, right? As special.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And I also think of it as a clearing out to allow something new to come in.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
If you're cluttered up to your nose in stuff, how is there going to be room for anything else to come in?
Sure. Yeah, for sure. I agree. So do you have any daily or weekly habits or rituals that help you stay grounded and aligned with your values? Meg and I had a really fun conversation about non-negotiables, and it was mostly her talking about kind of her daily routines. Do you have anything that you just feel like you've adopted every day that you just have to do in order to set your day up for success?
Yeah, I am a phone by my bed person. I will admit that is a terrible habit, but I'm a faithful Christian, I'm an Orthodox Christian girl. So I do actually say my prayers first thing in the morning, and I actually have it on my phone. So
Awesome.
That justifies for me on my phone. And yes, absolutely, I scroll a little bit, but I say my prayers first thing in the morning. I always have my exercise clothes right there. So I hop into them first thing. I do yoga and or meditation every day. I think I'm on day 137 of that. I have this 100-day challenge that I, put out every once in a while.
Right.
You know what? It's 20 minutes of each. I don't always do both, but I always do one. It's a non-negotiable for me. I try to get outside every single day because, again, nature is a grounding thing for me. And as you know, working from home, sitting in front of a computer is a very different experience for me from standing on my feet and doing massage for 10 hours a day. So I have to get outside to move my body. I get up and move my body throughout the day. Movement is key. I would say weekly, every Monday, I have a call with a couple of colleagues of mine, and we do an accountability call.
Awesome.
Of what we celebrated last week, what was a great win, what was a struggle, what are we working on this week? And it has been amazing. We've done that for a couple of years now, and it has really helped all of us move the needle, and it's helped us feel supported and keeps my little mean girl in check because I am I have a history of being fairly self-critical. And so when I start to get like that, they go, it keeps me accountable to being a little bit kinder to myself. So, I think those are probably the top ones. I'm a big connection through food. I love to cook for people. We moved out west here to be closer. We have 3 granddaughters. We have 2 daughters that live out here and 3 granddaughters. We don't make boys, apparently. I'd love to have a grandson at some point. So family dinners are huge. When I became a single mom, when my youngest was 2, just before she turned 2, I became a single mom and moved back to Brandon, which was my hometown. Yes. We had Sunday dinners every Sunday with my mom and dad and my sister and her kids and husband. And that happened pretty much every Sunday. And so my kids have grown to really appreciate that. And so we have Sunday dinners. Sometimes it's not on Sunday. It's on a Monday or a Tuesday, but we try and do that. And My husband and I eat together pretty much every night unless I'm working late. And just having that time of sitting at the table with no phones, no TV, just us, that's a connection thing, right?
For sure.
And that time that you get together, like that is time. As I said, time is a currency.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we can't save up time for future use, right? Once it's gone, it's gone. Like you can put money in the bank, you can buy real estate and have it grow, you can make investments, but time goes.
Yeah.
It doesn't wait for anyone, right?
Yes. Sue was on the podcast just talking about specifically CrossFit and her journey with that, but we talked about so much more. And she actually was the person who connected me with you. And I'm so grateful that she did that. But we talked about the hourglass and how we have more sand in the bottom than we do in the top at our age. And so I was really interested to see that you talked about the time as currency and how you just can't save that up. So I think that's, so valuable. I recall you saying that you tried to step away from your massage practice, but you didn't last very long and that you are now back at it. So tell us a little bit about that. So you tried to step away and go straight with the coaching. What was it that brought you back?
So we were moving. My husband was retiring. So I thought, this is a good chance for me to retire my hands-on practice. I'll expand because I was doing about half coaching, half massage. I'll expand my coaching business. We moved to a new place where we knew no one but our kids. I was doing coaching and I love my coaching clients. I absolutely love them. And one of the great things about virtual coaching is I've coached with people in Ireland and Spain and England and Australia and New Zealand and down in several of the States. And it's great. But I felt very isolated moving into a new place where I knew no one. I'd get off the computer and I'd go for a walk and I don't know anybody to go for a walk with. And I watch people walk and I go, well, that person has a hip that needs work on. That person has a shoulder that needs work on. And there was someone at church and I said, are you in pain? And she said, well, how do you know that? And I said, well, I can tell by the way you're walking. She said, well, how do you know that? And I said, well, you obviously have something going on with your hips. And she said, are you psychic? I'm like, nope, just an anatomy geek. So I was really missing that kind of hands-on thing. I ended up having a conversation with a gal who has a very similar philosophy as I do of a multidisciplinary clinic, which is what I came from. And she's just a beautiful person who has started out as a massage therapist and now has several physios, several chiropractors, acupuncturists, a dietitian, lots of massage therapists, and we all work in one clinic. And I went in just to have a quick chat with her. And 2.5 hours later, I went, I think I maybe need to get out of the house. And funny story, actually, I've never actually had to give a massage to get a job before. And we had this conversation. She said, oh, well, would you be up for giving me a massage? I'm like, sure, I'd love to give you a massage. Not thinking at all that was actually part of the job requirement. Sure. And so I went home and told my husband, and he said, well, you probably have to give a massage so that she knows you're good enough. And I went, oh, okay. So I went to give her a massage and I said, I have to tell you, Christy, that I've never actually had to do a massage for a job before. And she got a little flustered and she said, just 10 minutes just so I can. I said, no, you're getting the full meal deal. If I'm giving you a massage, you're going to get a good massage. So I gave her a massage and she got up off the table after and she said, massage therapist for 11 years. I've never had a massage like that. That was amazing. And I said, 7 years. I love what I do. And it felt so good for me. And I've always felt like I've had the best job in the whole world. Some people are pretty grumpy because they're in chronic pain. And I can take some of that and help them with it. I don't fix anybody, but I help facilitate some healing. And I do feel that I have a gift with my hands and I intuitively know what to do. Sometimes my hands go somewhere that the textbook would never tell you to go, but it just works, right? And like I say, I'm an osteopathic massage therapist. So that means that I will climb on the table and make you twist and turn and put you through a range of motion and do some muscle energy and do some joint mobility or whatever tool I have in my belt to help you move better and feel better. And I just really missed that with coaching. I am amazing with my words and I can help people that way, but I still really love the hands-on. So I work 2 half days a week at the clinic. I could be everybody's mom, which is totally fine with me. Yeah. And I get to just go in and do my thing and then leave. It's totally different than owning the clinic where I have to do all the management stuff. So It's like going to the playground for me. It's just fun and playful. And I've met some great people through that.
Yes.
Joined the gym because Sue did actually convince me to try CrossFit. And I got through my first class and I said, well, I didn't die, so I guess I'll come back.
That's what I'm
But
afraid of.
she was amazing. All of the coaches at Meridian CrossFit, just give them a little plug, were absolutely amazing at being able to adapt, because my foot still doesn't know where it is in space sometimes.
Wow.
So I do end up on my face every once in a while. And they were amazing at adapting every single thing that I looked and went, I can't do that. So she'd go, well, could you do this? Because this is a breakdown of that. Well, yeah, I could probably do that. It was still hard. It was still very challenging.
Sure.
And I would go through the rounds and everybody else would be clapping. Go, I still got one more round. You guys are all done. But but it was such a great community. And it was very supportive. I worked really hard. I swore a little when I was doing it because it was hard, but it felt so good. And we talk about I no longer need to have a beach body.
Right.
I'm a little bit kinder to myself now, but I really want to have an 80-year-old body that can do things.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So, and I mean, in the right place, that can happen. Yeah. So I tried a CrossFit place out here that wasn't the same as Meridian. So I didn't continue. I gave it a good go. I joined a gym that's really close, met some great people there, had lots of fun. And I think you have to find what works for you. And that worked for me. So
sure.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Whatever it is that works for you, just keep on doing it. I agree.
Right.
So can you talk a little bit about if I were to reach out to work with you as my coach, how would that look? Would there be a discovery call at the beginning? What would you want to know about me?
Yeah.
What sorts of things might we work on? Can you talk a little bit about your coaching business?
Sure. Lots of people ask me what kind of coach I am, and the easiest answer that I can give you is that I am a body, mind, method, life coach.
Okay.
And I believe that in order to do good business, you need to have a good life. In order to live a good life, you need to have a good business. We all need money to have a good income. Because I have built and scaled several clinics and I've been my own boss for most of my career, I have a lot of business knowledge that helps people. I have a lot of people who have had a job for many years where they've had a salary and then they maybe have a side hustle or a little hobby that they would like to make into a side hustle. Sure. And they're kind of at that point where they're probably going to cut back at work a little bit and they'd like to spend a little more time. I'm a bit of an alchemist, so we brainstorm some ideas, but I also have the business background to say, have you got a business license? Are you going to be a corporation or are you going to be a sole proprietorship? So I have some of that background too. I used to call myself the last chance lady for massage because people would go all kinds of different therapies and then come and see me. And I was kind of the last chance. And I mean, what could massage do wrong, right? But it can do a lot right. So I have found with my coaching, I also have some people that go, not quite sure what's wrong, but something's going to go. Like something needs to go, something needs to change. And I'm ready for a change. And then I go, okay, let's get busy. And I rub my hands together like that. So usually it's just a connection call of just to see where you're at and where you want to go. And if there is someone that I think would be better suited for you, for example, I have a colleague who specializes in migraine and chronic pain. So if you're someone that's been suffering from chronic pain and you know me through massage and that's what you want to focus on, she might actually be a better fit for you than I am. So I will refer you to her.
Right.
And, there's someone who does special coaching for speaking stuff. So I will refer you to them. Or if it's a fit for us, you're usually someone who, is at that now me, now what stage, usually fairly successful at what you've done, whether that has been managing your home or managing a business and your home. And you're just kind of looking at what's the next part of my life going to be like. And it's just your partner does the personal training. If you want to get your body in good shape, you probably hire a coach or a personal trainer to help you with that. Sure. If you want to look after your nutrition, you'll probably hire a nutritionist or a dietitian to help you with that. Right. You want to work on your life, that's that Laurel-sized hole, right? So
I love that.
I help people with that. And I would say probably some people would refer to me as a confidence coach. If you get your confidence and actually believe in it. Yeah. I often believe in people far sooner than they believe in me. I had a business coach years and years ago who's gone now, and I wish that I had more time to talk to him. And he believed in me far more than I believed in myself. And if I could go back in time, I would have taken more risks that he encouraged me to do to grow my business in a different way. How it worked out, it worked out.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love to be that anchor for people and that kind of safe space to come. Lots of people don't really know what they're not quite sure about, but they sometimes just need a space. So I'm a whiteboard girl. So I get my whiteboard out. You verbally
Dump it all out.
belt out whatever you want to.
Right.
And I have this kind of weird skill of being able to just write different ideas down, and then I'll get a download and I'll go, ooh, have they thought about making this into part of their business? Or have they thought about this with organizing their family? Or have they thought about this? And I kind of circle that all around, and then I take a picture of the whiteboard and I send it to you. And then we kind of summarize and we break down what the goals might be. So if you don't know what you want, then we go from there. I do have a couple of different courses that I run. So one of them is the reset. So we talk about values and boundaries and decluttering and rewriting our stories, working on confidence things, and how you can make it the habit stacking, how you can make it actually part of your life. And then I have a currency code, which talks about the currency of just about everything. So it's more than about just money, but money is also something that I think as a culture, our generation was taught to not talk about.
For sure.
Why? Why don't we talk about it? Money is just energy. It's just a tool. And whether you have a lot of it or a little of it, it's an important thing. And I think our parents maybe did us a little bit of disservice, and we maybe did our kids a little disservice by not talking about money.
Right.
Because we all need it.
Right.
Right.
And then we all have either fear around it or questions around it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So currency, but there's so much more to currency than just money.
Sure.
Right. There's confidence. There's time, there's connection, there's a whole bunch of things. So I have about 12 modules that we go through, different currencies of different things. And it's just kind of it's a time to reflect, review, and maybe renew or update if you need to.
Yeah.
And if it's great and it's working great, then expand that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. And Sue and I had talked about that, checking in with yourself. Is this still serving me? And if it's no longer serving me, what do I need to edit or add or way, that sort of things. One of the questions we like to ask our guests on Redesigning Health and Home is if there's anything that you're currently redesigning in your life right now.
So the redesign in my life is, well, there's a few things. So personally, how busy do I want to be? I have this beautiful, not as busy schedule. I'm not as committed. I love to serve in the community, but I'm still trying to find which charity I want to work with. I work 2 half days a week at the clinic doing massage. So that is easy peasy for me. I coach probably 4 days a week. I usually have a couple of groups, and then I have several one-on-one clients, but my schedule is still fairly free, so that when my daughter texts me and says, hey, can I drop the kids off so I can go grocery shopping? I am allowing myself to say yes.
Yes.
And open up my door to spend some quality time with my grandkids. I get to go watch their soccer games now. So as I am starting to get more traction and know more people, I'm being asked to speak at more events in Edmonton and area, I am really, really taking that step back to say, is this something I really want to do? Or is this something that I'm saying yes to please someone else? Is this really going to move the needle forward for me in my goal of what I want and how much time I want to spend on this? Or is this something that I'm doing because I'm a people pleaser, right?
That's a very important question to ask.
Yeah. So redesigning, I don't automatically say yes to everything, and redesigning the amount of time that I want to spend in and on my business and the amount of time that I want to spend in and on my family life. Designing, where we just moved into pretty much a brand new, it was only a few months old house last year. So we've been here just about a year. So I really missed my garden last year. So this year the redesign is we've got 4 big garden containers, building a new garden and working on the backyard landscaping and putting a patio in this year and that kind of stuff. And my house, we did a downsize before we moved from Brandon. We downsized from our big family home to a home with a rental property and had some experimenting with that. So I actually got rid of a lot of our stuff and downsized before we moved into this place. So our house is pretty simply decorated. And there's not a whole lot of stuff that we need to do to our home. So probably my garden and my business life of how much time I want to spend, that would be the redesign probably.
Well, those sound like very wonderful things to be focused on. So I love that. Before we wrap up, I do want to give you a moment to tell our listeners where they can find you in the online space. If you wouldn't mind sharing that with us.
I'm a tech twit, so you can find me. That's great. I live more on Instagram than Facebook. I am on both of those, Laurel Goulden, and Golden is spelt with a crazy U in there. It's pronounced Golden, but I'm Welsh, so we like to throw U's in, so it's Goulden. So if you type in Laurel Goulden, you'll find me. GoldenTouchLifeCoach.com is my website, and that also has all of my socials at the bottom of it, so you can just click on that. I'm on Linktree as well. Those are probably the easiest ones to get me at.
And you're willing to work with every walk of life, I assume. Now, in the day of technology, we can do that more easily, which is wonderful.
So I love to say that I have a very inclusive practice. Having said that, if I don't feel we're a good fit, then we probably won't work together.
Yeah.
And I love to have that as an option for you too, to say it was lovely to get to know you. Usually, our first couple calls, if you feel that there is not a match for us, or I am way too woo or way too business for you, then we try and find you somebody better. Better suited for you.
I'm sure that all of your clients super appreciate that honesty, because that's what it's about when you're finding a coach is finding a good fit.
Yeah. Integrity is one of my top values. So, and actually it's funny you were asking like how I do some of that. I actually have my phone, my screensaver is my values. So I have them right there. Faith, humor, integrity, kindness, authenticity. Yeah. Those are my top 5. So every time I look at my phone, it's right there that I have kind of my mission statement.
Wow. That's a great thing to do, to have that reminder, just kind of always be there. I love that. Well, Laura, thanks so much for joining us on the show today. Really, really appreciate it. And I encourage all of the listeners to look you up and to read the information on your website. You're absolutely delightful. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it was just such a great conversation, Kerri. I really appreciate you reaching out. And thank you to Sue for getting us connected. And I hope everybody has a lovely, lovely day.
For sure. Yes. Thank you to Sue. And we'll see you next time. As Meg and I grow this podcast, it's come to our attention that we have some loyal listeners, and we are just so very grateful to those who have joined the Redesigning Health and Home family and have decided to tune in on a regular basis. So we thought it'd be fun to give some shout outs to some of those listeners who have been tuning in regularly. And today we want to give a shout out to Denise from Washington. Thank you so much for listening, Denise. We really appreciate you joining the Redesigning Health and Home family. The topics discussed on Redesigning Health and Home are for entertainment purposes only. We are not physicians and we are not counselors. So please just enjoy this as it's intended to be, which is for entertainment purposes only.
Thanks for listening to the Redesigning Health and Home podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, we would love for you to like, share, and follow along so you can catch us on all future episodes. You can find me, Meg, at Fit, Fed, Feeling Good on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
And you can find me, Kerri, on my website at homestylewithkerri.com and on Instagram and Facebook at homestylewithkerri. That's Kerri. And you can find both of us at Redesigning Health and Home on Instagram and Facebook. So join us next time for more inspiration on creating a home and a lifestyle that truly supports your best health.